Let's get right into it. Number 10, the Unsinkable Stoker, who maybe should have bought a lottery ticket. You know the Titanic. Big ship, bigger iceberg, not enough doors. Leonardo DiCaprio looks very cold. It's a whole thing, but you probably don't know about Arthur John Priest. This guy was a stoker, one of the dudes shoveling coal deep in the ship's guts. It was a hot, loud, terrible job, and when the Titanic went down in the freezing cold North Atlantic, he survived. That's lucky, right? Sure, except this wasn't his first time. Priest had also been on the RMS Olympic, the Titanic's sister ship, when it, just casually collided with a warship. He survived that too. At this point, you'd think he'd take up a nice, safe job like competitive snail racing. Nope. World War I comes along, and Arthur just keeps finding boats to be on when they sink. He joined the HMS Alcantara. It was destroyed in a naval battle. He survived. He got on the HMHS Britannic, another sister ship. This family of ships hated him. It hit a mine and sank. He survived. He was on the SS Donegal, which was torpedoed. Sank. He survived. That's 5 major sinkings and 1 massive collision. This guy wasn't just unlucky. He was the universe's favorite worst chew toy. It's reported he was eventually just forced to retire because, frankly, no one would sail with him. You'd see his name on the crew list and just, nope, I'm sick today. And forever. Number 9, the Emperor's Bad Omen delivery service. When you're Napoleon Bonaparte, you don't do things small. The guy was not known for being humble. For his 1804 coronation as emperor, he didn't just want a party, he wanted a spectacle. So, he has this massive, ornate balloon built, covered in gold, and featuring a giant, glittering imperial crown. It's launched in Paris to show how awesome he was. The balloon floats off, and everyone in Paris forgets about it. But the balloon kept going. It drifted for hundreds of miles, a journey of over 700 miles, until it finally came down in Rome. But it didn't just land, it snagged on a building, tore apart, and the giant gaudy crown decoration ripped off, and landed directly on the tomb of Emperor Nero. Yeah, that Nero, the most infamous, tyrannical, fiddling while Rome burned psycho in Roman history. It's like the universe was trying to send Napoleon a 1-star review on his new gig. Napoleon was apparently furious. He saw this as a terrible omen, immediately fired the balloon maker on the spot, and refused to ever use balloons in his military campaigns. Can't say I blame him. Number 8, the Dead King's War Playlist. You've heard of the Curse of the Pharaohs, right? Mostly it's just hype, but then there are Tutankhamun's trumpets. 2 of them, 1 silver, 1 bronze, found in his tomb. They are basically the world's worst play for disaster button. In 1939, an archaeologist thought, hey, I wonder what this 3,000-year-old horn sounds like. He played it and broadcast it on BBC radio. Just a few months later, World War II began. Okay, creepy coincidence. Surely they learned their lesson. Nope. In 1967, they played it again. Just days later, the 6-Day War broke out. Okay, now you're just being dumb. Stop playing the horn. In 1990, someone else played it, right before the start of the Gulf War. And to cap it off, in 2011, a staff member played one of the trumpets during the Egyptian Revolution, just days before heavy violence erupted in Tahrir Square. At this point, can we just agree to put these things back in the box? Like a really soundproof box, maybe bury the box, in concrete, on the moon. It's just safer for everyone. Number 7, the I Am Your Father restaurant order. This one is straight out of a bizarre soap opera, but with more turtlenecks. As you probably know, Steve Jobs was adopted. After his adoptive mother passed away, he went searching for his biological family, and eventually found his sister, Mona Simpson. But here's the insane part. Years later, he found out he had already met his biological father, a man named Abdul Fattah Jandali. And he hadn't just met him. Jandali owned a popular Syrian restaurant in Silicon Valley, a restaurant that Steve Jobs frequently visited. Imagine this, Jobs is sitting there, eating hummus, casually chatting with the owner, who is his dad, and neither of them has a clue. How's business? Good, good. Just two ships passing in the night, or in this case, a father and son passing the pita bread. Jandali apparently only figured it all out in 2006 after Jobs was a global icon. He never contacted him, fearing Jobs would think he was just after his money. They never actually had a relationship. The universe literally put them in the same room over and over, and they just missed it. Number 6. The world's most exclusive family reunion. You know the whole American dream story, right? Anyone can grow up to be president. It's the land of opportunity. Well, about that. A 12-year-old girl in California decided to do a little genealogy project. With her grandfather's help, she started tracing the family trees of all the US presidents. And she didn't just trace the Smith married a Smith direct line. She traced all the branches, male and female, going way, way back. And what she found is, well, it's weird. It turns out that every single US president, from George Washington all the way to Obama, except one, is related to the same guy. King John of England. You know, Lackland, the dude from the Robin Hood stories, the one who was so terrible at his job that a bunch of angry barons forced him to sign the Magna Carta, that's the guy. They are all descendants of this one medieval king. The only guy left out of the family reunion? Martin Van Buren, the 8th president. Everyone else is, in some very distant way, family. So much for a clean break from the monarchy, huh? It's less land of the free and more land of the distant cousins. Number 5. The king with a bad subscription to day 21. Ever have an unlucky number? Maybe you avoid row 13 on a plane. Well, King Louis XVI of France had a serious thing about the number 21. When he was just a kid, an astrologer apparently warned him to be extremely cautious on the 21st of every month. And this guy, a king, actually listened. He made it a lifelong habit to never do any important state business on that day. No meetings, no hunting, no big decisions. He'd just, avoid black cats and ladders. Fast forward to the French Revolution. Things are not great. The royal family is basically under house arrest, and they decide they have to flee Paris, the one single most important escape of their lives. And the date they choose to go, June 21st. The one day he'd avoided his whole life. Naturally, the escape failed, and he was captured. But wait, it gets worse. The monarchy was officially abolished, and France was declared a republic on September the 21st. And finally, when it came time for Louis to meet the national razor, his execution was scheduled for January 21st. The universe wasn't just warning him, it was sending him calendar invites to his own doom. Number 4, the original glitch in the Matrix. This one happened way before computers, which somehow makes it even weirder. In 1903, a man named Will West was arrested and sent to the US penitentiary in Leavenworth, Kansas. He goes to processing, and the records clerk looks at him and says, "Hey, I've seen you before. We already have your file." Will West swore he'd never been there. The clerk, convinced he was lying, pulled the file for a man named William West. Here's the thing, the man in the file had the exact same name. He also had the exact same body measurements. Back then, they used something called the Bertillon system, a set of body measurements that was considered foolproof. And the mugshot was identical. The only problem? The other William West was still an inmate in that same prison. They brought the two men together and they looked exactly like twins, right down to the facial structure. They were not related in any way. This case single-handedly broke the entire Bertillon system of forensics and is the literal reason that prisons and police switched to using fingerprints, because reality just gave up. Number 3, the movie script that saved a legend. We all know Jackie Chan. The guy is a living legend, but he was almost the star of a real-life tragedy, and the only thing that saved him was bad paperwork. In 2001, Chan was set to star in a new film called Nosebleed. The plot? His character was a humble window cleaner at the World Trade Center, who, get this, uncovers a terrorist plot to blow up the Twin Towers. Filming was scheduled to begin on the morning of September 11th, 2001, Jackie Chan and his whole crew were supposed to be on location at the top of the World Trade Center, shooting the exact scenes his character was supposed to be in. The only reason they weren't there when the first plane hit? The script wasn't finished. The writer was late delivering the final draft, so filming was delayed. The crew hadn't even left for the location yet. It is probably the only time in Hollywood history that procrastination literally saved lives. Chan has talked about it since, and it's clear he knows just how close he came. Number 2, the world's most specific man on the street. You know those man on the street interviews reporters do, right? They just stick a mic in a random person's face. Well, a BBC reporter was doing a piece about a famous 1967 football match between Liverpool and Everton. He just needed a random older person to ask, "Hey, do you remember this old game?" So he spots an older gentleman walking down the street and flags him down. He asks him about the match. The old man stops, smiles, and says, I do. I played in it." The reporter, thinking the guy is just joking, kind of laughs and says, "Oh yeah? Who were you?" And the man says, "I was the goalkeeper for Liverpool." It turns out the completely random man he stopped was Tommy Lawrence, the starting goalkeeper for Liverpool in that exact 1967 game. It's like trying to find someone who remembers Star Wars and accidentally bumping into Mark Hamill. The reporter's face in the video is pure, unadulterated shock. He just found the needle in the haystack by not even looking for the haystack. Number 1, the wedding straight out of Final Destination. If you think your family weddings are dramatic, you have nothing on this one. Back in 1867, Prince Amado of Italy was marrying Maria Victoria dal Potto. Let's just say the universe really objected. It started on the way to the church. The colonel leading the procession suddenly keeled over and died from sunstroke. Bad start. Then, as they left the palace gatekeeper was found also dead at his post. But hey, they made it to the ceremony. Surely it's fine now, right? Wrong. Immediately after the ceremony, the officer who wrote the marriage contract dropped dead from a stroke. Then, the station master who was helping with the honeymoon train was killed when he fell under the bridal carriage. And for the grand, gruesome finale, the Count of Castiglione, who was riding beside the carriage, was also pulled under its wheels and killed. That's 5 people. This wasn't a wedding. It was a cosmic hit list. You just know a bride and groom spent their entire honeymoon looking over their shoulders, wondering if a falling piano was next. So, is the universe a chaotic mess? Or is some scriptwriter out there just bored? I have no idea. But it's way more fun to think the simulation is just glitchy. That's it. And hey, it would be a wild coincidence if your mouse just happened to land on that like and subscribe button. You should probably click it. You know, for fate. See ya.